Richard and I are talking today. We're interviewing each other for the series of how epilepsy has impacted Robert's life. And part of how it has impacted his life is this guy and I get to take care of Robert. He has lived in a care facility before, and then about a year and a half ago, Richard and I made the decision to bring him into our home and take care of him here. So Richard, how has taking care of Robert and that decision impacted our life?
Well, for us, we had the last kid move out one Saturday, and the next Saturday Robert moved in, so we had 1 week of empty nesting, and then Robert came, and it was a totally different aspect of having a kid. It affected me personally. It affected me major because of his, how do you want to put it, his demeanor with everything he's gone through and everything he's been through and all his surgeries and all his episodes and all his medications, to still have such a positive attitude. It's infectious. And I think that's part of what keeps me so positive with my back, is seeing how Robert is so positive with his situation. Mm-hmm. And he's far worse than I am. So, yeah.
So how has it, you mentioned your back, how has the caring for him affected your back? You still deal with a great deal of pain, yet you do physical things with Robert. It's not just a matter of fixing him dinner or getting his bed ready or whatever. There are times when you have physically caught him when he's going down from a seizure, or you've had to lift him up when he was having his severe mobility issues earlier this summer. How does that impact your back?
It definitely affects my back. I'm not going to say it doesn't. I mean, I would be sitting here lying if I said it did, or if I said it didn't. But it does affect my back. But it is something that I thought about personally when this was first approached. When I was first approached with bringing him into the home, that is something that I definitely looked and thought about deeply. And it's just something I know that we have to deal with, and the pain will be there. The extra pain will be there from, like Trish says, catching him when he does fall, or helping him up, or pushing his wheelchair, whichever. I know the pain will still, the extra pain will be there, but I do know it'll go away too.
Do you manage it in different ways? Do you get different, extra massages through the week when Robert's at day program? Do you try to rest when Robert's at day program? Is there something that you do to care for yourself when Robert's not here?
Well, I do. I've increased my massages from once a month to once every 3 weeks. So they're getting closer and closer together the times that I do have them. With Robert being at program during the day from 8 until about 3, now that he's at the new program, I do stretching and exercising and walks and everything during that time that he's not here. So that gets me ready for when he does come home. And then I do stretching in the morning when Trish is getting him ready. So then I'm ready in the morning for when I'm taking him to program and dropping him off and so forth. So yeah, I do quite a bit extra getting ready for that possible time that he's going to fall or need help up.
So those are the physical challenges that Richard goes through. I think we've also had challenges just communicating and just working as a team. I think we work as a terrific team. We raised 3 kids together. And a few dogs. We take care of several animals. But I think you have to really be open with your communication. Of course I think what I miss with the two of us taking care of Robert is maybe just a movie night or alone time together. We don't get a lot of that because we haven't used a lot of respite.
Right.
Recently, Robert was in the hospital and in a skilled nursing facility this summer, so we spent a lot of time. Oh, the puppy wants some camera time. We spent a lot of time out to dinner or just I don't know if we ever saw a movie, but anyway, it was just some alone time,
Right.
just because Robert was away in the facility. So, how do you think we work as a team?
I mean, I think we work great as a team. We pretty much know what each of us is going to be doing when we get up in the morning. We know what we're both going to be doing when she gets home from work in the afternoon.
That is very helpful. Sorry to interrupt. I think it's very helpful that we have sort of set routines. You do your stuff, I do my stuff, and it's almost like a handoff. In the morning, the morning is phenomenal because I get him up, get him his bath, and while you're making the breakfast and the coffee and all of that,
Getting his lunch ready and everything of that sort. And
then we trade off. So someone is always with Robert, just in case he has a seizure or to assist him with any other things that he needs help with.
His restroom breaks and...
Yeah, so the mornings, I think, the schedule is really nice so that we do trade off pretty well.
Oh, definitely. And you have to have a schedule. You can't just do this willy-nilly. You can't just say, okay, wake up and, I just don't feel like it today, you take it. You just can't do that. It has to, with him on his medications the way he is and everything, it has to be a set schedule. And with Robert, and it might be different with other people of other issues and everything in their lives, but with Robert, he is such a schedule-oriented person. He knows when he's supposed to do certain things. Like he will tell us, it's 2 minutes to 2. I got to get my 2 o'clock meds. It's 1 minute to 2. It's 2 o'clock. So Robert knows when things are supposed to happen. And he makes sure we know when things are supposed to happen. So, yeah, but you definitely have to be on a schedule with something like this.
I agree with that. I do have just a slight disagreement, and we've been married 17 years, so what do you expect?
I'm right.
Yes, the schedule is critical, especially routine is very important to Robert, and he tends to have more seizures when there's a lot of change and things aren't in a routine. So that is a seizure trigger for him. But as far as if Richard's not feeling well or I'm not feeling well, sticking to a schedule is not necessary. If Richard needs some extra, stretching time or time to help his back, or recently I was not feeling well, so Richard did some extra things in the evening for me. That is typically not for me, but that is typically something I do. I think you have to have that built-in flexibility so that you kind of communicate with each other, let each other know what's going on instead of just plowing through and doing it in a rigid format.
Well, yeah, in that sense, that's very true. And that's just it, is we know what each other does. So we know if Trish is sick or she has to go into work early or has to be at work late, I know what needs to be done in the morning and after hours. So I can step in and take care of that. A year ago, a situation came up with me where I was out of it for a week, and Trish stepped in. She didn't get her mochas, but she stepped in and she was able to do what I normally do and take that on and still make ends meet. Didn't give her much free time, but we both know what the schedules are.
And what needs to get done.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
when.
Yeah.
So
And as far as respite, Richard and I did take a respite break last November. Was it last November?
Yep.
We went on a cruise. It was awesome. We did take Robert on vacation this year, which went much more smoothly than I expected. But I think a lot of it had to do with our routine and our schedule and just our ability to communicate. Just because it, we stuck with pretty much the same schedule down there. We did the bath routine pretty much the same. That I think that really says a lot. There are times, obviously, that we get on each other's nerves and don't communicate well. And we raised 3 kids. We don't completely agree on parenting styles. And I don't think we completely agree on how to, manage Robert when he's having a moment or some difficulties. But, we always work through it. It's not something that that is a deal breaker and that we just can't move past it. We're always able to communicate eventually and kind of work things out. I think a lot of it is we don't really hang on to things too much.
no.
So you kind of have to just move on, and we've been married for a long time, so I think we know how to deal with each other, and we definitely need some alone time too. I'll go get a massage or get my nails done, and you take breaks too. Not just from Robert and taking care of yourself, but just to have your own time.
I take breaks from her too. But yeah, and I'm not. Don't get me wrong here. And we do have different parenting styles for the kids. But one thing with Robert is we can't treat him like a kid because he's not. He's
Right.
a 49-year-old adult, and we have to treat him like an adult. But there are some things.
He has cognitive impairment, so there
Yeah.
are some things that, like manners and we insist on manners and behavior standards, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and like today, he likes watching the football game, the 49ers with me. So we were downstairs watching that for a while, and then I asked him if he wanted to watch his church, and of course he wanted to switch, and that was fine. And he has the things that he likes to do, but like I say, we can't treat him like a 10-year-old kid. Up in his head, he's not. He is a 49-year-old male adult, and if you give him enough information, he can respond and talk to you just like a normal person. It just takes him a little bit longer. And so I think we've actually taken some of the stuff that we did with the kids, and we're using that with Robert, and it's working out really, really well, I feel. And like Trish said, this vacation we had at Disneyland was just amazing. It was we stuck to the schedule, we stuck to the food schedule, we stuck to the medications.
We pushed ourselves a little bit, but not terribly, So we didn't want Robert to be overwhelmed or too tired, or have extra
Exactly.
pain. So we just kind of took it easy. We weren't at the park from the morning to close. So we just kind of took breaks.
Not like we were with the kids.
Yeah, well, it's just different. So, anyway, I think we do work really well as a team. Any last thoughts about the impact caregiving, caring for Robert and his epilepsy has had on us?
Well, the impact on us, I think, is we've had to learn to communicate even more, and just not a normal communication back and forth. We had to communicate because Robert can't say, okay, I did this with Richard, or this happened earlier. I have to tell Trish and keep her up to date of what's happening when she's not here. And vice versa, if something happens with Robert where he has excessive seizures, she makes sure I know so I can look for him later. And if he continues to have them, we can combat them together. But you have to let each other know what happens throughout the day, so it's a whole nother realm of communication.
And it's very helpful. We have logs for all of his seizures, for his vital signs, and for all other behaviors and symptoms. And we're both it's in a central location, and we're both very good about writing on that and keeping that up to date. So when I come home, from work, I can just glance at that if Richard's in the restroom helping Robert, or if he just needs to go lay down and not really let me know what happened. I can just look at that and say, oh, okay, Robert had one seizure, or he got cranky with the bus driver, or whatever it is, just so I kind of know. And we do like to keep track of Robert's moods. A lot of times, you know, he's very jokey, and sometimes he does not want to joke around and be teased at all. So, you know, these are cues that we really need to be aware of. And, you know, there are times when I may say to Richard, hey, you know, he's in this kind of a mood, so, you know, just kind of, you know, deal with it deal with it accordingly, and vice versa. So I think we do really good about that. Those logs are extremely helpful, very helpful.
And talking communication too with Robert, we have to take into account, like Trish was just saying, the bus driver, the van driver, to get him from program back to here, and then we have to take into account the instructors and everything at Easter Seals. Because we have to keep in contact with them to find out how was his day, how was his trip home. All that comes into play. So it's just not us and the kids, it's us, Robert, the bus driver, the Easter Seals. We've got a lot of different people that come into play when we start talking caregiving. So that you got to look at too.
Yep. But the impact on us, I think it's something that we both wanted to do together. It is something that is meaningful to both of us. We're both involved in the caregiving community at caregiving.com, and also I think we've both learned a lot about epilepsy, and we've both seen the impact epilepsy has had on Robert. Richard knew Robert when he lived independently, would just come up for the holidays. So, you know, we've both seen a huge change through the years, and we're taking care of him for as long as we can. I think we figured that out this summer. Is, you know, we do have our limits. It was close whether or not we were going to have to put Robert in a place him permanently in a facility. If he didn't get better, and he luckily he did, so he's able to live with us. But I think it would be, you know, I just think we're in it until we can't be in it, and then
You have to set your limit.
Yeah, then we'll make that decision. But right now, I think it's going up. That must be our cue. So the dog wants out. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.